In the time before time, there is the Bionicle universe. A universe filled with many places and inhabited by many characters that we have grown to love over the years. Though many people are fond of the universe that LEGO created, most people do not know the origins of the Bionicle story. Almost any Bionicle fan can tell you all about the details of the main story, but what they might not know is how the story came to that point. This series is intended to enlighten you of the legends and the Bionicle mythos that you might have never heard of. This is Pilot of Solace, and welcome to Bionicle Lore Explained. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bionicle Lore Explained. In the last episode, we left off with Mata Nui leaving Spherus Magna to search for a way to repair the planet. Make sure to check that out if you haven't. But anyways, this episode we're going to take a closer look inside the body of the Great Spirit robot, where we shall find the Matoran universe. To get a grasp on how the Matoran universe functions, it's important that we know who lives in it. There are many species that have known members, but we don't actually know the name of the species. Since we don't know much about these species, we won't be covering them in this episode. Also, we will only be covering the sapient species that live in the Matoran universe, so no Rahi. Rahi are the animals in Bionicle, by the way. The three most important species to the Bionicle story are of course the Matoran, Toa, and Makuta, so let's cover them first. The Matoran are small and somewhat weak compared to the other species, but are more important than you might think. The Matoran were created to do work in order to sustain Mata Nui, so if the Matoran either didn't perform their task or all wiped out, Mata Nui would eventually die and thus fail his mission. Another species was created to prevent this, but we will cover them later on. There are 16 different types of Matoran, a Matoran's type being determined by the color of their armor and their innate elemental abilities that are unlocked upon becoming a Toa. Speaking of Toa, they are the species responsible for protecting the Matoran from harm, so that they can continue to sustain Mata Nui. The Matoran also have the potential to become Toa, so it's important to protect them for that reason as well. Most Toa were also Matoran at some point, but there are a select few that started out as Toa. When a Matoran becomes a Toa, they unlock the ability to use their elemental abilities, as well as their mask power. Matoran and Toa both wear Kanohi masks, but only the Toas have powers. The Toa also have what they call tools, but are really just weapons to use in combat.
Now this is a Toa tool! Ha!
With all these abilities and whatnot, the Toa have the power to stop many threats, but it matters how they go about doing this. So, over time, they developed an unwritten set of rules called the Toa Code to regulate how the Toa go about their business as defenders of the Matoran. The most important rule of the Toa Code is that they cannot kill their targets or allow someone to die on purpose. These rules are honored by most of the Toa, because they need the trust and respect of the Matoran in order to do their job. On the complete other end of the spectrum, we have the Makuta. The Makuta are an interesting bunch because they are the species to have probably changed the most over the course of the story. They started out as outcasts that created new breeds of Rahi, and by the end were power-hungry evildoers hell-bent on taking over the Matoran universe. The Makuta do wear Kanohi masks and can use powers just like the Toa, but unlike the Toa, the Makuta were created by Mata Nui instead of the Great Beings. Makuta are composed out of a substance called liquid Antidermis, but their physical forms are made out of solid Antidermis and Protosteel armor. The Makuta's composition of liquid Antidermis means they are actually beings of pure energy. Their being made of energy also gives them the ability to shapeshift and move between different bodies. A Makuta also produces Krata, which are slug-like creatures that can have one of 42 different powers. These Krata are often used to create Rakshi. Now that we've covered these 3 species, let's talk about some more. Next are the Turaga. They're elders who guide the Matoran in tow with their wisdom. Any Toa can become a Turaga if they have completed their destiny, which is basically a Toa's lifelong goal. Upon becoming a Turaga, a Toa will keep their mask powers, but will need to sacrifice their elemental abilities. A more obscure species native to the island of Zia are the Vortix. Now if you've never heard of the Vortix, then you may have heard of Rudaka, who is the most notable member of their species. Their society is mostly dominated by the females, with the male Vortix getting worse jobs. They're also cunning and betraying because of their manipulative personalities. The final species that we're going to cover today are the Skakdi. If you've never heard of the Skakdi, then you may have heard of the Paraka and their amazing rap.
Yo, yo, Paraka!
The Skakdi are a violent species native to the island of Zakaz. All Skakdi have sharp claws, large teeth, and an organic spine. They also have elemental and vision powers, but lack the ability to use Kanohi. In the next episode, we'll be covering the locations in the Matoran universe. However, it'll be a while before the next episode releases, since these videos take a lot of work to produce, and there are other videos that I'm going to be making in the meantime. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Yo, yo, Paraka! Yo, yo, Paraka! The gang on the loose, nothing you can do. The beast on the move, bully coming through. Trigger, tracer, drifter coming through. Add the snake that makes Paraka crew. Yo, yo, Paraka. The gang on the loose, nothing you can do. You can try, but why? You know you're gonna lose.